June 10th. I said July. June 10th. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Roll call, please.
Kevin.
Here.
Nick.
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Tracy.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Leo.
Here.
Ida. Here. Caitlin.
Here.
And the absent is Court.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda are the meeting minutes from our May, what was that, 13th, I believe. Yes, May 13th meeting. So everyone had a chance to review those. I had them here somewhere a minute ago.
I didn't see any changes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 13th, 2026 as presented.
Support.
We have a motion from Nick to approve the minutes as presented and supported by Tracy. Any additional comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No opposed, the motion carries. Correspondence. We have 1, 2, 3 distinct letters from some of our Pinecrest residents. I'm assuming they're all Pinecrest. They all have Lakeview addresses. And a petition signed to enter into the record. I'm not going to read all of them. There are several pages each, but we have Professor Gerald Kane has 2 letters here. Petition. There was another one here. Someone else. I don't know who it was now. In any event, I'd like to enter those into the public record for review. They're in effect, they're opposed to the Blake's rezoning. That's the general.
Mr. Chairman, those were provided to all the planning commission members ahead of the meeting, correct?
No, they were just on my desk here today.
Oh, okay. Because if we haven't received them ahead of time to make sure that they're acknowledged accordingly during the public hearing, we should probably either acknowledge each of the individuals and their address, just
Okay.
to make sure that we're more acknowledging.
We'll address that during the public hearing then.
Okay.
It was just in the correspondence portion. That's all I have.
Do you want to switch introduction before public comment, maybe?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's move introduction forward. We have a new planning commission member, Mr. Chris Berkland. He's been a longtime Almont resident, very active in the community, outside in civic circles, outside of the government. So, welcome aboard. Hopefully, you find it enjoyable.
Do my best.
Public comments not related to the public hearing. Anything? Any late agenda items anybody know of? Anything? Okay. Well, it's 7:06. I'd like to open the public hearing for the Blake's rezoning. Blake's Farm LLC. The site address parcel ID is 44001-033-00101. The existing zoning is multiple family RM. They're asking to modify it to C3 general commercial. with a proposed use of an indoor event building, outdoor gathering areas, and supporting operational facilities. There are some guidelines I'd like to go over for the public hearing. The speakers will be called by the chair. You'll proceed to the podium, introduce yourself. If you have a name that is unique to an ethnicity or some manner is not easy to spell, please spell it to the secretary. Use your name, address. All comments will be directed to me directly. This is not a question and answer session. Board members will note issues for later deliberation. Each speaker has 3 minutes. It will be timed by the vice chair or the secretary. No applause, no audible comments. Please remain respectful of all viewpoints. Everyone has a right to speak. Disruptions or repeated interruptions may result in removal. Applicants may speak before and after public comments to address or redress issues or concerns or clarify points that may have been brought up during the public hearing. Let's see. So I open the public hearing now. The planning consultant will give her presentation. The applicant will give their presentation, then the public comments. After the public comments, we'll acknowledge the written comments, which are here. The applicant will redress the comments made or read if necessary, and we'll close the hearing. After the public hearing is closed, there are no further public comments unless addressed to and approved by the chair. Discussion of the proposed rezoning is held by the commission members, noting the comments made in the planner's review and recommendation, master plan, appropriateness of the proposed use, and so forth. And a motion may or may not be made. If a motion is made for approval or denial, the reasons will be noted why, and forwarded to the township board for final review or denial. So the floor is yours, Ms. Hebben.
All right, thank you for that. So the rezoning that's coming to us tonight is different than a previous Blake submittal. Just want to make sure that's clear that they are completely different applications. So the previous one was withdrawn. This is one that is coming forth. It is the same request, RM, which is our multiple family, being changed to our C3 general commercial zoning district classification. The applicant, as far as their intended use of the property, is intended to utilize the existing agritourism and have it be a new indoor event building. So the applicant has provided their concept plan. So this is not the site plan, this is not the special land use. That happens after. If the rezoning were to be authorized, this use would be something that would be allowed. And then that would be something we would then go into site plan review. We would talk about, well, what noise, hours of operation. We would then talk about traffic in a more intense way. Those are part of the special land use or site plans. The applicant is not proposing this to be a conditional rezoning. Conditional rezonings have to be offered voluntarily, in which we would say you can rezone if you eliminate this or if you provide that. That's a conditional rezoning. And so the applicant is not offering that. So as far as our components of the Planning Commission, we're judging it based on our approval standards. And if we're approving a C3 zoning district change, we're allowing all of the uses that are allowed in C3 potentially. When we do a rezoning, it's not tied to the applicant. It is tied to whatever that future intent is. Though the applicant can speak on their own behalf, but they intend to maintain their facility is their intention. And so with that, one of the main components that's in my review letter that you have in front of you that's dated May 28th, some of the main factors associated with this property is it is surrounded by some agricultural residential to the north. We do have some existing commercial, so the front portion of the property where we already have the roadside stand, that is already C3. It's this middle portion in the middle that is currently the multiple family. We do have a single family residential neighborhood name escapes me.
You're right.
Pinecrest. Okay, I was on the right thing. All right, good. We do have a residential to the west, which would be the sensitive, our single family residential district. They would be located on the roadway and would be considered a paved major thoroughfare, being on Van Dyke. Their frontage, because that's not part of the roadside, would be considered the Pinecrest Boulevard that kind of comes through there. As part of that, though, as they show in their concept plan, the intention is more to use the different one, but that's a little bit part of our site plan review process. So when we look at what the zoning districts are intended to do, C3 is what they're requesting is the widest commercial zoning district that we have, having the most diversity, most intensity highway-oriented traffic. When we look at our future land use classifications, multiple family is intended to be a buffer between single family and more intense uses like commercial. That's primarily why that was intended, to help with that buffering. Looking at the future land use classification, it aligns with that. It's trying to, one, make sure that you're next to other existing commercial, and that you make sure that you're located along a heavily traveled road. We do not want to see speckles of commercial taking place all over the township if you're paved or not paved. We want that to be focused on Van Dyke, and that we can have those nodes, those specific anchor points on the corridor, rather than it being the entire corridor just nonstop commercial. That's not the intent of our master plan. So one of the reference documents we provided is just kind of the aerial image, but also looking at the zoning districts. Zoning maps are what you can do here and now, as opposed to when I referenced the master plan and the future land use map. That is what our ideal future will be. We can't have a crystal ball when we do master plans or zoning ordinances to know exactly what our community will need, but we have a good educated guess, and that's what we try to do with the future land use map, is to say this makes the most sense, but have some flexibility there. So the last reference document that I have is talking about our approval standards. So we have two different standards associated with a rezoning request. It has to meet at least one of these standards to justify approval. If we cannot find support for either standard, then that would be a justification for denial. We are the first step in their review process of their application. We are recommending action to the township board if we were to come to a decision tonight. So the two standards is that the request is compliance with our current master plan. And standard B is that the property cannot be reasonably used as currently zoned, and that this proposed alternative is the best suited alternative. Again, can't fully predict what can happen in the future. This is the best case scenario. So I can read through the findings of facts if you want, or I can circle back to those when we actually get into our board deliberations.
I think let's go over those during deliberation.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Caitlin. That was very well laid out and well presented. Lakes.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commission Board. Thanks for having us tonight. You know, as Caitlin explained, we were here back in February. We got snowed out from weather storm, and we're back tonight. But we did learn a lot from the public comment there. We tried to capture all the comments we heard to show the neighbors what we were doing and put them at ease. There was some speculation, and I think we were just not real clear on what we were proposing at the time, so we tried to tighten that up. That was the reason for our resubmittal. Also went through, there was a 2025 Almont Township Master Plan Survey. I kind of went through that too to see how this lines up what we're trying to do with, what the township members want. And coincidentally, it's very close. So Caitlin talked a little bit about it, but we've got a parcel of land right now that's split. The front half is commercial, the back half is residential. When we bought this property, we took it was all commercial. We took the back half to residential, thinking that we would put some high density or multifamily homes in there to complement the subdivision behind there. Thought that was the right thing. That was back probably 20 some years ago, 30 years ago. Times went on. We've spent the last 5 years really building up that business. We added a small event center. We added a restaurant and tasting room. The property's got a lot of really good traction. The wedding business there has been very good for us. It's allowed us to be able to keep it a farm, but also with the entertainment component of it, the weddings menu and the bar, it helps us sustain it year round. It's a 20-acre farm is pretty hard to keep on its own, so we've been trying to constantly reinvent ourselves with all of our properties, especially this one. The issue we've run into is our current event center it's basically greenhouses have been converted. They get pretty hot. They work really good in the spring. They work really good in the fall and in the winter. Summertime, it gets a little hot. There's a demand for it. There's demand for, the U-Pick. There's demand for our restaurant. So we started looking at it and said, what's the best thing to do? And I think the conclusion we came to was putting a new event center towards the back of our current building. The problem we have is that goes back a little further. As you see, the current red line around there is where we're currently zoned for commercial. Behind that is the residential. Going to the bank and trying to get financing, they don't like financing a split parcel like that. They want it all zoned the same, which would be commercial. And looking through some of the township guidelines, I think the township prefers too that the parcels aren't split into two. Our vision for this is really continuing to clean that place up, building an orchard square kind of behind there. You'll see behind the current store a little park-like place back there where people can sit, enjoy drinks, enjoy food, and then the event center behind that, and then really build out the back of the orchard there with some walking trails, some walking to U-Pick, maybe a wagon right out there. If you have a wedding or event, you can browse the orchard to the walking trails. We have no intention to turn it into a high volume type of production facility. It's really going to be a U-Pick, kind of what it is, preserve it and keep it going. So, some of the issues that I heard from the last meeting was they were worried about the infringement between commercial and residential. We've agreed to put in a 100-foot buffer between the two, green buffer, lots of trees, lots of segregation between the two. And if you look at the map, we've got 1,000 foot of orchard between our building and between the property lines. So we're not trying to push it back. This is really a decision that's made with the financing behind it. We can't really move forward with the bank until we get this rezoned into one parcel. It's all commercial. And then going back to the 2025 Almont Township Master Plan Survey, some of the key points I took out of it was stop residential subdivision sprawl, preserve farmland and open space, maintaining small town rural character, supporting local business and family destinations. So, I hear what the citizens are asking. This is very much in line with that. It does a lot of good for the community. It does a lot of good for our business. It helps us become sustainable year round. As you guys probably know, you see a lot of farms disappearing in the area. It's hard to make a living just being a farm, so you got to constantly reinvent yourself and try to add ways to generate revenue in the off season. And we had a pretty hard winter. We lost a lot of our Christmas trees. We had some of our fruit trees die. It's just, farming's not easy. I know some of the people in here are farmers, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So this is our creative way of being able to keep it a farm, keep it the way the community wants it, but also make it financially feasible for us.
Get the volume up a little bit. Appreciate it.
That better?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. You don't know, you said it was zoned commercial previously.
Yes, correct.
And you, I don't want to get into a question and answer. I'm just trying to understand the time
Sure.
frame when that happened. You don't
It was around 2008. We got zoned.
I'm just trying to clarify your
Yeah.
statement.
Yes.
I'm trying to, okay.
2008-ish.
Thank you for your time, Peter. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the public comment section. And if you have anything to add or would like to redress any comments that the public makes, you're certainly welcome to.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Can I get either you or Tracy to run a clock? I'm going to take a 3-minute break.
Chairman?
7:21.
I'm sorry, before I step down, is it okay if my associate has a quick word?
Yeah, let's take a quick break for
Okay.
3 minutes. 7:21 to 7:24, and we'll right on the other side of the wall.
Jill needs to know it's not going on. That's not going on.
All right.
Peter looks like so.
Yeah, now that you said that, I agree that it wasn't Peter. It was.
Yeah, so Michelle, just for the record.
Balin? Did you throw at her? Caleb, can we get it back on again? It's going to be a late night. 7:25, I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and honorable board members. My name is Marilyn Lane, Lane. I'm a business consultant for the Blakes. And I just want to, I think Jeff did a great job with his explanation of how they got here in this business decision. But I think sometimes they fall short in being too humble of farmers. As most of us all know, that past winter was brutal, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And watching and going through their business model, I see that they don't have a 12-month business plan because weather doesn't allow for them. It's seasonal. And then when we get coupled by these heavy winter, you know, their strawberries barely made it this year, and so the season is behind. All the trees that they planted this year, they're taking back out and replanting them, and those are a 5 to 10 year tree growth. So when they look at these types of decisions, how can they support these facilities that they have and still be able to maintain it in a way that it needs to be diversified? So it was a tough decision to look at. But wedding venues, destinations are becoming more popular. And it's not like every weekend or every during the week. Those are special occasions. And I think in line with what they were really trying to couple with, as Jeff mentioned before, as to what the citizens want for a survey, they want to be a good neighbor. They want all the neighbors and those here in Almont to be able to come there and enjoy those special occasions, or even just like tonight's a beautiful night to just go out there and sit and have a bite to eat and, shop around on the flowers. So the idea behind it is to build that community spirit, not to infringe on anybody. So there was a lot of thought when we put together how we would buffer, how many feet. So for the most part, nobody will see anything because of the distance back in the trees. They just planted peach trees. They got the apple trees. Just unfortunate because everything's so crowded in front, in order to get that building, it crosses over the line. And as I mentioned before, split zoning on one parcel, banks look down very unfavorable as to where does that line, how does it do it, and puts a lot of restrictions for them. And so we're really trying to help them stay established in a place that everybody here in the room would enjoy coming to and going to. And so we hope that that reflects in the thought process and even on the grounds around the facility, and giving in consideration all the neighbors and being a good neighbor. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, public comments. Do I have a volunteer for public comments?
I'll say something. I was here last time when they were trying to put something in that corner of Huff and Van Dyke.
Do I hold it before?
John,
Say your name, address.
John Cronenberg, 5585 Grace Lane,
Spell your last name.
Kronenberg. Got it? Got it.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, go
I was
ahead.
here last time when Blake was trying to build up that area, and Van Dyke just cannot handle that traffic. That traffic is getting bad now, and there's nothing new on the road that I see where all the traffic's coming from. But it's nice living out here in this area. It's nice when you make it home at night safely and not all that confusion and traffic on the road. And accidents are happening quite often on Van Dyke, and that confusion in that area in front of Blake's, as it is right now, can get pretty nasty. People trying to turn in Blake's are not going in the right exit or entrance or whatever. So we just have to keep that in mind, because a lot of people have to come through that area to get home at night, and we do not need someone's profit to interfere with our path getting home at night safely. And the farming community is a big thing being out here, and we don't need to screw that up and make it like the other Blake location, whereas it looks like they own the road out in front and they've got their own traffic lights and the whole ball of wax, like they own that whole neighborhood. We don't need to get involved in that, especially with State Highway there. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kronenberg.
Good evening, board members. For the record, my name is Professor Gerald E. Kane. I live at 5545 Lakeview Drive. I'm an adjunct faculty member of Macomb County Community College and a retired faculty from Davenport University. Let the record show that I have officially submitted my written objection, a citizen's impact summary, and the Pinecrest subdivision residential petition for denial to the clerk's office. As an adjacent owner, I urge you to deny the rezoning from RM to C3. Leaning on my background in finance and economics, let's look at the quantifiable reality. Combining a 421 space parking footprint, averaging 4 occupants per vehicle, means this rezoning will dump roughly 1,600 individuals into this restricted property at any peak time. This artificial operational merger of corporate and wedding venue farm market, nursery, taste room into a 12-acre lot is an unmanageable bottleneck right next to our family neighborhood. This creates an immediate life-saving issue. Pinecrest has over 50 small children playing in the streets. Our neighborhood has 0 sidewalks. When Van Dyke Highway gridlock from Blake's events frustrate drivers, they will inevitably use our residential roads as a high-speed shortcut, mixing hundreds of hurried late-night event goers with children playing on sidewalk-free streets is a recipe for absolute tragedy. Legally, this is a textbook case of illegal spot zoning, creating an isolated commercial island for private property at the expense of public welfare. Therefore, your own zoning code states that C3 zonings does not permit farming, agricultural activities, or etc. The applicant is trying to illegally cross-contaminate commercial assembly with agricultural uses. Furthermore, as a professionally trained financial analyst, I must highlight the severe economic damage this down zone inflicts on our neighborhood, introducing late-night commercial chaos right against our lines will slash adjacent residential home values by an estimated 10 to 20%, draining $35,000 to $75,000 in hard-earned income equity in every single family directly bordering the footprint and beyond. This zoning breaks will cause more severe traffic hazards, unmitigated late-night nuisances, and massive equity destruction right into the stable residential zone. For the safety of our children, the legal integrity of our community, and the clear mandate of our neighborhood petition, I respectfully ask the commission to deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Yes, ma'am.
Since you were the one that provided the written commentary, do you need that to be more read into the record, or is your public comment sufficient?
I would prefer for this.
Okay.
Any other comments from the public?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Sego, 6668 Webster Road. My family grew up in Armada, and we were out in 2006, and we watched Blake's grow into a pretty big outfit out there. And I just wanted to come here in support of what they're doing. And, you know, my family has a small business ourselves, and it's certainly not easy in today's day and age. We pay a lot of taxes. We are employers, and I know that it can be difficult, especially when you're trying to do things and move forward. I've personally watched them expand the Armada location, and it's really nice. It's really nice to be able to go out there and have a hard cider. You can take a date out there. You see families out there. I think it's important that the community here and you guys support your local small businesses. I keep hearing traffic this, traffic that. M53 is a main highway with or without Blake's. There are thousands of businesses that run up and down here, okay? You're going all the way up to Port Austin, all the way down to Detroit. So you're gonna let one family farm outfit make a decision here or influence a decision on traffic that is well beyond just the small area of Almont's footprint, frankly. So think of the taxes they're paying, think of the jobs that they're looking at bringing in the area, and just think about going out there and having a nice time. I mean, they do a good job. They really do. If you walk around Armada, they've already cleaned up out back out here. I was shopping for trees last week, and they're already cleaning stuff up. So I would hesitate not to make a decision based solely on the traffic and think about the grand scheme of what this might do for the area. And they do good work. They have a good touch and good taste on stuff. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Yep.
My name is Eric McQuaid, 5619 Lakeview Drive. I am one of the houses that directly backs up to the peach trees currently. The gentleman before me mentioned small business. Blake's is not a small business. They are the second largest hard cider business in the country. They have outlets everywhere. They've bought up little farmland and properties across the state and in other states as well. So it's not a small business, and I would hate to keep on naming Blake's a small business. It is a local business. It's from Armada. It's nice. It's a great story. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with what they're trying to do. My biggest problem is why are we opening up the floodgates to C3? C3 could be anything tomorrow. This map is just a drawing. This is not a guarantee of what Blake's is going to do. This is not anything written in the law. Why not look at C1? Or what does C2 mean? I would like you guys to do the research on what C1 versus C2 versus C3 is, and why are we going straight to C3, which could be a Walmart, a Myers, it could be a data center, it could be a solar farm, in a blink of an eye with just a sale. I agree. I really don't want condos and apartments back there, and I do agree that they do a great job at what they do. But C3 is just opening up a whole can of worms that no one has any kind of say so. Once you guys, if you guys approve it tonight or another night, there is nothing that can be changed from that. And how many times are we going to go backwards from C3? I mean, it's not. There was a reason that there's a buffer there. There's a subdivision back there. And I know that 100 feet, 200 feet, whatever it is. But regardless, my backyard, I'm going to be looking at a wedding venue. And it's fine. C3 is already on the road. C3 is across the street. Why can't they put the wedding venue where the greenhouses are right now? Why can't they tear down the greenhouses and put a wedding venue right there? It's already C3, if that's the problem. I mean, they already have C3. So why are we adding C3 to farther back, all the way up to the property, all the way to the property owners? John works for Blake's. He does a great job. We have a good relationship with him. Like I said, they're a good company. They're not a small business. They have millions and millions and millions of dollars. This isn't just for a bank to give them money for a wedding venue. They can finance it, or they could do it themselves. I'm sure they could. They buy properties everywhere.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McQuaid.
Good evening. My name's Chris Rose. I'm a resident of Pinecrest, 7280 Hillside Court. I'm also the treasurer of the Pinecrest Association. So I just want to piggyback kind of on what Eric said. You know, it's already zone C3 in the front. They want to open up the floodgates and change it all to C3. The excuse was, gosh, the bank's not going to give us any money. Oh, okay. Like Paul can write a check for what's going to take to do that. This is some kind of strange push to get a C3 in there. And again, what Eric mentioned, once it's zone C3, they can do whatever they want. And if you've seen their operation in Armada, but they have huge warehouses there. If you go out to, I'm trying to think where they have their warehouses, it's gigantic. So it could be a gigantic manufacturing center if you zone at C3. We want to keep this area the way it was, you know, rural, mixed farm, residential. We moved out here 10 years ago from Sterling Heights. You know, if I wanted that kind of action, where they have Freedom Hill and all that kind of noise going on, I'd have stayed there. But I don't. That's why we moved out here, to make sure that we have a nice area to enjoy. It's a nice community. We have nice neighbors, and we don't want that kind of traffic, noise, and all the people that would be gathering there on a weekend to disrupt that. So pretty much that's where we're at as far as the residents go. I hope I speak for all the people in Pinecrest. We want to keep things the way they are. Just now, when we moved out here 10 years ago, Blake's was just a roadside stand, and they seemed to make it okay with the roadside stand and their agriculture, and they didn't seem to be having any kinds of problems with, making their banknote or anything like that and having rough winters. So I think that's all bull. And I think that they want to zone it C3 and expand this thing into some kind of just gigantic operation that's not going to benefit the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
Hello, my name is Nancy Rose. I'm Chris's wife, 7280 Hillside Court. I was here the last time. I agree with what Eric and Chris were saying. As far as traffic, I really think that is an issue. If you've ever driven by Armada Ridge Road on a weekend when Blake's is in full mode, you're in line. There's a traffic light there. Is there going to be a traffic light here? How are we going to get in and out of our sub? You look at the smokehouse. How many accidents have you seen on Van Dyke during the weekend when the smokehouse is in full force? That's a huge concern for us. Property values. What's going to happen to our property value if this does turn into some sort of a commercial thing and they do put in something else later on, like a Myers or a data center? We're going to lose our fannies. It's very concerning. The biggest thing, I think, is the events that they have, too. They had an event last summer, and we are building our phase 2. There was parking down the main drive, through the circle, and into the phase 2. So there was people walking all over our sub, which that's not what we want for our kids and our families. So it is a big concern. So I hope that you take all of our residents into consideration when you make your decision, because it would be a life-changing thing for us if it went to a full commercial. Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you say your name was Rose or Rhodes?
Nancy Rose, R-O-S-E, like the flower.
All right, I misheard what your husband said. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sean Park, SHAWNPARK. I live at 5585 Lakeview Drive. I also echo a lot of the things that these folks are saying. I do understand that if Blake's is determined to expand, there's not much we're going to be able to do to stop them. But we can try to contain so that we don't become Armada or what they're doing in South Lyon. And not let them become a free-for-all where things really get out of control. But I do want to give you a different perspective. I moved here a couple years ago, and I got married right after I moved here. I was looking for a wedding venue for quite some time that was affordable. And places that I thought were great, they were booked out through 2026, through this year, and that was 2-3 years ago. Every weekend, spring to fall. If you've got a great venue, like I'm sure that they want to build, it will be booked every weekend. Where are these people going to go after the wedding, after they've been drinking hard cider? Are we going to get a hotel built in town to accommodate that? Because that could happen. There's just a lot of different angles to think about this, and what do we want Almont to do? Grow rapidly to accommodate Blake's, so that they can get funding through a bank? Because I didn't hear anything from them saying that this is for our community. This is going to make us better, because a lot of us are not seeing any benefit on our end. I definitely do not want a wagon ride going by my house 6 times a day. And whatever equipment noise it takes to pull folks and whatever they're going to do, especially late night weddings. And if there's no sound ordinance, what do we do when there's loud noises? We already hear the booming of the bass, people screaming and hollering on a Saturday night while my 4-year-old is trying to go to bed at a decent hour and is still awake at 10 because it's very loud. And I feel like we're pretty far back, but man, it is loud. So I just want to, hopefully you guys take some of those thoughts into consideration. But if they have to change, please don't make it C3. Let's keep it contained. C1, if that's what it has to be, I just am really frightened that I've made a mistake by moving to this awesome small town that I love, and everything's going to change. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Parks. Any additional comments? Anyone? Caitlin, if you wouldn't mind the written comment portion?
Yes, so as it was mentioned, we had Professor Gerald Kane, who has submitted some different components. One was a formal, as part of his statement that he made here tonight, he did submit a formal opposition reply. He provided a citizen summary, and then he has a signed petition of 43 different individuals. I skimmed through them quickly. They are not duplicates or things of that nature. They are individuals as part of that 43 individuals that had provided that. And so I can make sure that we pass these down during our board deliberation discussions. But essentially, the different findings of the safety impact report and things of that nature, they did provide some database-driven components talking about, as was mentioned, the number of parking spaces versus people, talking about that potential intensity increasing, which would cause more of a traffic concern, talking about neighborhood gridlock associated with people utilizing the Pinecrest subdivision. There's concern regarding sidewalks, which was mentioned, dangers, highway detours if it needed to be utilized as a components. There's late night nuisances that are associated with that. As was mentioned, was the spot zoning, strict C3 ordinance prohibiting different uses, so specifically farming operations, which was mentioned. We talked about passive zoning mandates, which talk about that land uses are not specifically named are therefore prohibited. And then talking about the HOA, the homeowner association, trying to make sure that we're not having a concern there regarding their buffer that's already there, which is a 4 to 6 foot tree barrier to help block sound and nuisances. And so they do not have the ability to build fences in their subdivision as a method to mitigate it on their side of the property line as part of that component. And so I believe that is the essential essence associated with that, but I'll make sure to pass these down on the line so everyone can make sure that they look at it as they go.
Thank you. Lakes for redress?
Yeah, thank you for all the good comments and concerns, both positive and some concerns. I'd like to just kind of go through the list here real quick. Talked about some traffic problems on Van Dyke. I agree, it's a problem. I think the commissioner himself and Blake's has been working with the road commissioner trying to figure out how we fix that. It's not a problem we caused, but we're happy to help jump in and try to solve that issue. There was some calculations, based on parking spots that got us to 1,600 people. For the record, the proposal we're submitting is a 200 to 250 person venue. It's not a 1,600 person, so that number's not at all what we're looking to do. And there was some concerns of the values versus making this agri-tenant type versus high density housing. And just again, for the record, all research I've done said that if we put in high density apartments, high density housing in there, that's going to way more impact the traffic and the land value than agri-tenant. Someone brought up South Lyon, just a quick story on that we didn't want to go to South Lyon. South Lyon Township came to us because South Lyon wanted farm and agriculture to stay there. A large housing company came in and bought Irwin's Orchard, several hundred acres. The only way they could get approval was by bringing us in to maintain 100 acres of farm there. That's why we did that. We did it as a favor for the South Lyon Township because they were very accommodating to us and for the builder. But people, it's in the state that I cited earlier in your survey, there's a small portion of people who this affects because they're right there, and I get that, and I probably would feel the same way, but there's a larger population that we're giving everything that they want. Please keep that in mind. We talked about Blake's Hard Cider and $1 million operation, this and that. For the record, Blake's Hard Cider is a totally separate company from Blake's Farms. We're not the same company. We're not a multi-million dollar company. We're the farming end of it. You know, we're not this big conglomerate we're made out to be. We have no intentions of building manufacturing facilities here. It doesn't make sense based on the roads, the traffic. We'd never be able to get trucks in and out if we wanted to. So just make sure that's clear. That's not our intent at all. And, you know, before we do anything, we're going to be back with the site plan, and everyone's going to be able to see exactly what we're doing. We put a vision on this piece of paper to kind of get your thoughts around. Hey, this is really a beautiful, good thing for the community. And, you know, I heard some comments about fences and that. If fences are the difference, or, you know, higher density trees, when we come back for a site plan, you know, we're probably, I don't know, again, how long, years away from being ready to break ground here. We got to get bank approval. We've got to get site plan approval. We've got to do the design work, but we have every intention of coming back with a plan that works for everybody for a site plan approval. So we're not going to turn this into a Myers or to a gas station. So I feel bad that people are afraid of that, because if it was my home, I'd feel bad too. I don't want people thinking that we're coming in, you know, everything we've bought, we've preserved as farm. That's our legacy. That's who we are. We're not commercial builders. Look at what we do. We preserve farms. That's, you know, like my cousin Andrew and myself are kind of taking over the farm from my uncles who've ran it the last, 60 years. And the whole thought is like, we want to preserve farms. That's what we're about. Look at anything we do. We're all about farms. You know, please don't compare us to these other spin-off companies that aren't part of the farm. Look at us for who we are and what we did. We're not people that come in and trash towns and neighborhoods. We preserve. That's our legacy that we want to leave behind. There was some talk about the events last summer. We did have a really unfortunate event last fall where we had a lot of cars and they parked on the subdivision parking lot. We've had 3 of the same events, same size events since then. No one mentioned it because no one noticed it, because we took the lessons learned from there. We posted no parking signs along the boulevard. We created more parking within our facility. We planted grass to park on. We contained that. So I know I feel really bad for hearing what they're saying, and I would too, but I hope everybody understands that our goal is to be a good neighbor. We're doing everything we can to try to ease this stuff. So whatever we can do when we come in for a site plan, we're going to be here to do the right thing. I mean, you don't get rich by being a farmer. You do it because you love the land, you love preserving things, and that's what we're all about. If anybody thinks anything different, I'd love to have that conversation with you to explain to you my vision and, you know, what we're trying to do as a family. And then just one more comment. There was a comment about weddings and drinking, and just so everybody is clear too, you know, all of our servers are safe serve approved. We don't overserve people. We ask our customers all we can to make sure we're not sending, you know, intoxicated people on the road. So our intention is not to get people drunk and send them down the road. We monitor that very closely and take safety very seriously. So I want to make sure that everybody kind of hears, you know, the other side of it, that we're not this big monster trying to take over the community. We're trying to actually give the community what the community survey said they were asking for. So, thank you.
Blake? I'd like to close the public hearing at 7:54. We will take a 4-minute break again and resume at 7:54 on that clock up there, so we'll resume at 7:58, please. 7:59, I'll call the meeting back to order, please, Ms. Secretary. We've closed the public hearing. We're moving on to the Planning Commission deliberation. We will discuss amongst ourselves some of the points and made by comments and the criteria by which to base our decisions on. One of those, Caitlin, I believe I'll let you discuss standard A and B.
Yes. As part of the analysis. I did want to take a step back too, just to make sure that everyone understood with the rezoning request. So just to reiterate, so when the request is for C3, that's any of the current uses associated with C3. The applicant chooses what district they are requesting, and we judge it based on what they're requesting. And so that's why it is proposed C3, is the applicant is proposing that district classification. A event venue would be considered a club or entertainment venue in our zoning ordinance, so it is a specifically listed use. It is only allowed as a special land use in our C2 and C3 zoning districts. And so that would be how that would be conformed. Now, with the conversion into the full parcel being C3, that means that the farming activity, which is not permitted, it is prohibited in C3, it would be considered a non-conforming use. And so it is allowed to continue to exist. It must meet the requirements of a non-conforming use as part of their choice to continue that operation and doing that rezoning. So just setting that foundation for that use.
That's the question I had, yes. Thank you for clarifying that. I was going to ask that question.
And so when we're looking at our approval standards, so standard A is talking about that the requested rezoning is consistent with the township's master plan, or that there's a mistake in the plan, or there's a change in condition, or a township policy that occurs that makes that request where you want to modify that. And so the proposed rezoning, as was mentioned, it is currently RM, multiple family, that is considered consistent with the current master plan as part of that component, in which it is a transitional district from single family to a neighboring commercial land use classification. The subject property is, as we mentioned, is currently agricultural purposes. They're looking to expand their operation that is currently in the east. And so there is neighboring commercial that is associated at the commercial node on Van Dyke. And so there is a little bit of gravity there. There is adjacent single family land uses that are there, but there is also commercial to the east. The applicant is not proposing to do any type of combination of these two different lots as part of that with their different zoning classifications. The commercial future land use classification, which they are requesting, if we look at that specific description, it is intended to be for properties that are along Van Dyke Road that are on a major thoroughfare, and that the master plan calls for a consolidation of different zoning districts, but ultimately still keeping some type of buffer there. And so as a note, we are in the process of updating our zoning ordinance, following our master plan and looking at whatever that consolidation is. That isn't necessarily what we're talking about tonight, because realistically, when we cross that bridge, if we choose that now is the right time to do that consolidation, that would be the question. The master plan is intended to be a 20-year vision. So at what point we decide it's appropriate to consolidate commercial, that is based upon discussions that haven't quite happened yet. So that is kind of our fact finding associated with standard A. Standard B is that the property cannot be reasonably used as it is currently zoned, and that the proposed request represents the most suitable alternative zoning classification based on the master plan. And so the remaining portion of the property, I believe, is about 12.8 acres. It does not have that direct access to Van Dyke. It instead is on Pine Lake Boulevard. Pine Lake Boulevard is a paved road, but is more of a local road. The property is otherwise flat.
Yeah, it might not be the time to bring that up. I looked it up and I could not find definitive answer. Is that a public road or is that private drive?
It's a public road.
It is a public road. Okay, just for the record, it is a public road. Okay.
So
I
then,
found conflicting information online. That's why.
We use our engineer to certify those roads, all those roads in Pinecrest, but it is a county road.
So the property is relatively flat. There are several trees of significant size that are located on the property, specifica in that southwest corner, in which there's also that small body of water as well. Adjacent zoning classifications include AR, which is to the north, C3, which is to the east, RM, which is to the south, and then we have R1A, which is our single-family residential, which is to the west. As was mentioned, the intention is to have Blake's Backyard Business and to expand their existing operations specific to being an indoor event venue, have outdoor gathering spaces, supporting operations, and expanding their parking lot areas. As the applicant mentioned in their cover letter, they are not proposing introducing late night or incompatible uses as part of that, in which they are proposing that club or event venue use classification, the eating and drinking established temporary uses, or accessory commercial uses. Just for note, so some of the other permitted uses that are allowed in the C3 zoning district include auto showrooms, include retail operations, include liquor stores, dog kennels, animal hospitals, eating and drinking establishments, drive-throughs, bars, or other restaurants. And so those are some of the different components, and I can go through the zoning ordinance more in depth if you want to look at the different classifications. So with that, that is reviewing of those two standards. As a reminder, we need, if you were to consider a decision in the affirmative recommending approval to the township board, we would have to indicate which of those standards it would meet. To justify a denial, similar procedure, you have to justify which one of those or both, or A or B do not meet, neither of these meet the threshold, and so then you would be recommending denial. In addition, our decision tonight, you can choose to postpone upon additional information, in which you would ask the applicant to provide some additional information, but I will remind you this is not a conditional rezoning, and so we cannot make firm requests. Instead, we should focus on problem statements. So we're worried about this, we're worried about that, and it's up to the applicant to decide how they proceed.
Thank you, Caitlin. Comments?
Start, Kevin. Well, I appreciate, Jeff, what you guys are trying to do. I certainly do, and I do enjoy your products, by the way. I just have some concerns going to C3 for the amount of permitted uses that fall in there, and that's what we're looking at. I understand your concept and all that kind of stuff, but we're looking strictly at what could happen in C3 as a permitted use. That's one thing that concerns me greatly, because Caitlin laid out the things that could be rather intensive for the people that live in the residential area around Aurora. I'm a little bit confused too, because I know there's C3 property across the road, about 18.6 acres, it is C3 for sale, and I think it's Blake's, but I could be wrong about that. The C3 zoning, backing up to a residential homes like you're proposing, and I'm just looking at C3, I don't want to set a precedence in this township and allow that to be a precedent that comes back to haunt this township and the planning commission and obviously the township board or the residents. As far as addressing the traffic, that's a situation that goes all the way up Van Dyke. The township board is in contact with MDOT. We've been trying to do something about that for a long time. We're not getting anywhere. I can tell you that. They've got their precedents and we're not one of them. So those are the things that that concern me the most. I'm just not in favor of C3. Thank you.
So I have a couple questions that Caitlin can probably answer. Is this a split parcel or two parcels?
So it's definitely, so I guess when I looked at it, it is two different zoning districts. Let me double check on the county GIS data. That would show us what the existing parcel lines is.
And then I guess question B or 2 will stem from what the answer to question A is it's 2 different parcels. I know that Pine Lake Boulevard runs to the south, but does that parcel go all the way there? Or is it essentially landlocked if it's a separate parcel? Because if they're 2 parcels, it wouldn't really be usable for anything unless it was combined or accessed.
So I have them as 2 separate parcels.
I believe you.
Well, I just want to show you, it's easier to show you like that.
But does it have?
So does it landlock,
No,
the second parcel?
So the frontage is technically for this parcel, why that was legally approved and they have to approve it is because they do have frontage. It is on Pine Lake Boulevard.
So this grass that's mowed here that looks like it's part of Pinecrest actually is not.
Correct. Well, so this boulevard here, so that's part of that common, kind of that right-of-way area. That's part of that common component associated with it.
Right, so if this is a separate parcel, is there access to this parcel other than from Van Dyke?
This is a map of the area. It shows the Pinecrest as well, what we own here. So everything along that is part of Pinecrest as well as the property.
Yes, it
So
is.
anything it says
Yep, so then
common
then
area
there's one.
CA.
There's O2 and
Anything
O1.
it's CA, it's common area, so we maintain all that.
I know it's maintained, but do you
That's-
own
We
it?
do own it, yes. So
But-
according to our Pinecrest.
But this is a future development area, and so is this part, and so that's
What's
something
a
that can be looked into.
I'm mostly asking
No, that's
I'm mostly
very
asking
relevant. That's
on
very
section
relevant.
D because it's not, if it's a separate parcel,
This is,
you wouldn't be able to use that with a
It's very
separate,
relevant.
right, you wouldn't be able to access that property as it's currently zoned if you were to build a multifamily unit there. If that's landlocked and doesn't have any road frontage.
so you can keep this. But anyway, the common areas.
I know they're common areas, I wanna know who owns it.
They're part of Pinecrest. That's-
So that second parcel that we're discussing is essentially landlocked.
That's our plan. It is.
If Pinecrest owns that,
So,
Right, but you'd have to look through, sometimes, this is where I haven't looked at their master deed or things of that nature, because it does show that future component that's there, and so it could still have that we have rights to access that when it was part of that
I guess
development.
that's a fairly important question on standard B, with it being usable as is or not. If there's no road access, to me, that's not usable the way it sits as a separate parcel. That's just one man's opinion.
that was where I was going to go as well.
Because I
Is that-
drove through there and looked too, and I know that it's mowed, but I also know that places, people mow
They do it
grass
just
that's not
because.
theirs and use it, and,
Yeah.
but if there's no access to,
But there's
you know, this
also,
parcel that we're speaking
there's
of.
also, and I forget the term, but because they've been maintaining it for 20 years, it becomes part of theirs.
Right.
Also have a sprinkler system.
So that's a potential problem as well.
Right, and there's a sprinkler system through there. I'm tending to believe that that's owned by Pinecrest.
The detention pond's also owned by Pinecrest as well. That they supplement our.
Retention pond is owned by Pinecrest?
It's not what it shows on the county map.
That's not what it shows on the map.
No,
We
that's not
we
what
own
it
that
shows.
and maintain it.
We maintain all of that.
I'd ask for factual checks on this, some of this is correct, some of this isn't.
Yeah, so-
I can get the,
Well, so it's not public and comment, and so it's just board discussion.
Yeah,
And
Those
so,
are ju- those
but
are just
the
a
parcel
couple.
lines that are shown is that the detention pond is part of this property. And so, part of it is, it is under common ownership at the moment, correct? And so that's something that the split's here, so now it's considered a non-conforming
Right.
lot, let's say if it was landlocked. And so they do have the right to develop it, and we go across that bridge when we cross it. But they do have the right to develop the property, even as a non-conforming lot.
I'm just, that was just a glaring question. I'm just
Sure. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer.
No, and that's,
Well, it goes to standard B immensely.
that was where I was going for, is that if it is landlocked and only accessible from Van Dyke, the only thing to do with it is add it on and combine it with what they have. It's not usable the way it sits if there's no road access to it or where to put a driveway in.
So the question goes back to, with the rezoning request, regardless of what basket of uses can sit there. So is the policy question, which basket makes the most sense? Because that's what the rezoning's asking. It's not saying, can they develop it or can't they develop it? It's, if it were to be allowed to be a higher intensity, which is commercial, or maintaining the existing zoning, what's the most appropriate use of this portion of land? The applicant on their own accord can choose to combine it, subdivide it, adjust property lines, but that's up to the applicant.
It just, for me, falls back to the reasonably used as it's currently zoned, and if there's no other access to it, it couldn't reasonably use for multiple family. That was just my thought on that part of it, and I've looked at it a few times and couldn't find those answers either.
There's no conflict. Who would ever put RM in then? Why would you ever do that?
Oh, that's neither here nor there. They own the property. At the time that they rezoned it, it was approved for those reasons at that time. And if you look at the description for RM, it is designed as a buffer. Well, we have some thoughts here, board. Anybody have any motions or any other things that they want to entertain? Any other thoughts? Leo? Tom?
At this point.
No, the only comment I'll make is I'm a little torn. I understand the noise and the amount of people that this would bring in if we do rezone it. However, if this is actually developed in its current zoning, you could have that many people living there, right? So, high density housing, you can pack a lot of people in a small area. So that's part I'm torn on.
Well, as a chair, I will ask, is the amendment in compliance with the master plan? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Or is there a mistake in the plan? No, I'm looking at standard A. It's a thing to ponder here, to formulate a motion. Does it meet the master plan, or was it a mistake in the master plan?
The current zoning meets the master plan.
I'm looking at standard A.
I think standard A meets the master plan. It gives you the buffer between residential and C3.
The current zoning. MR.
Yes.
RM is supposed to be a buffer.
Yeah, and that was, as Jeff talked about, when Blake's first owned it, that was the layout.
Right.
Into the residential area was the purpose of the buffer.
I don't think we could find an approval under standard A, but standard B is really holding me up with views the way it is. Without answers to the questions that I have.
Right.
I'm trying to prod emotion out of somebody.
But I guess I don't know how you deal with standard B. Clearly, standard A, as currently zoned, meets the master plan. So that would deny a C3 zoning. But you only need one factor to be found non-compliant to be a denial, right? You only need one.
Well, so you need to state the basis for your denial. And so we have to pick, to find an approval, you have to pick A or B. It's not an and, it's A or B. And so in either case, you need to select something to justify an approval or justify a denial. Denial would mean it doesn't meet either one of these standards. And then you would say it doesn't meet those because of X fact finding.
Okay. I'll move to recommend to the Township Board denial of the request application 2501 of parcel 44001033-00101 from RM to C3 based on the review standards in section 13.7 C2. Standard A, as the requested change is not in compliance with the Almont Township Master Plan of 2025. I don't know how to address standard B.
It's one or the other.
Also, then you would say it doesn't meet standard B because it could be reasonably used as RM.
Based on the information we have today, it could reasonably used.
It could be reasonably used as currently zoned, so it also doesn't meet standard B. And an overwhelming public comment against the C3 zoning.
That is the motion.
That is the motion.
I will second the motion. Further deliberation? Any thoughts, Leo, Tom, Chris, Tracy? Let's have a roll call vote, please. Secretary?
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Tracy,
No.
Chris.
I'm ready. Steve.
You can only abstain for certain reasons, and I don't think he's financially concerned with this. I know that he's new, but he should give an answer.
Based on what you've read,
Based on what I'm seeing right now, I have to agree with Dennis. So, yeah, I guess.
Tom.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you all for coming out. Mr. Blake, I think there's some room here, based on the comments you have, to make some adjustments and bring it before us again. I don't want to discourage you from growing or discourage you from having a thriving and robust business. And we really want to look forward to working with you again, but just based on our legal analysis of the parcels, we can't make a change based on our bylaws. I hope that's a reasonable explanation to you. I wish you all the best, and I look for, again, we look forward to seeing you again. We really want to help you out, but barring some changes that will reflect the community sentiment, I don't know, I think our hands are tied here.
You're buying a wall run for free.
Thank you all.
Good luck, Jeff.
I don't think we want to enter this in the public record because we don't know what it's.
Yeah, it's a copy of paper.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that.
I can answer that later after.
Right here.
the meeting.
What's that?
Paper tonight.
Yeah, okay, moving on to, public hearing number 2. Our proposed commercial solar energy collector system. Ordinance 39.24, which is our revised solar ordinance. Excuse me, we're still in a meeting here, thank you. Where is it? Here it is. Which is a revised draft number 8 of the solar ordinance. It's gone through review from our legal advisor and our planning representative. I would hope that we can finally put this thing to bed.
So I believe the only 2 outstanding issues we flagged is something we wanted to deliberate on further during our public hearing, is to talk about non-participating properties. So one of the requirements that legal had said is potentially concerning, but we decide what legal risk we want to do or where our lines in the sand. This is really an important requirement, and we can do that.
Yes. Okay, so it is 8:26. I'm going to open the public hearing for the Almont Township solar energy ordinance. Let's see what the number's on here. Draft number 8. See, I'm looking for here it is. 39.24. An ordinance to amend Articles 2, 8, 13, and 14 of the Almont Township zoning ordinance to modify regulation regarding the regulation of commercial solar energy collector systems, on-site structure, and ground-mounted solar energy collectors. So I will open that public hearing. The rules are the same. Any speakers we have, proceed to the podium, introduce yourself. Hold on. It's not a question and answer session. Board members will note issues for later deliberation. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, timed by the vice chair or secretary. No applause or audible comments. Be respectful of all viewpoints. Disruptions, repeated interruptions may result in removal. Applications may speak before or after public comments to redress issues or concerns. Okay, so on to our planning consultant presentation.
I apologize for jumping the gun. I got too excited. I was just ready. I was ready.
We've been working on this so long, she's going to get this thing out of here.
Well, you have no idea. So the only 2 things that we had mentioned that we were talking about is one, talking about non-participating properties in which we would say a commercial grade solar facility, we wouldn't want them to wrap more than 2 sides. So the idea being is that it wraps on 3 sides of a parcel because everyone around you is now part of that development. The other one was talking about a host community agreement in which we establish a fee per megawatt based on the project nameplate, which is a measurement of the output of that facility, primarily to cover the cost of our police, fire, public safety, and other infrastructure because of their use coming to our community as part of that. And so tonight is our public hearing associated with it. If the Planning Commission is comfortable with making revisions, or you can approve as provided, they would be to recommend action to the Township Board. And there's 4 standards in which you would indicate at least one of the standards that it meets in which you are recommending approval. So the first one is clarification of provisions in the ordinance. 2, it could correct a mistake in the ordinance. 3, that it implements a policy or goal in the township master plan. Or 4, that it improves the administration of ordinance or better serves the community. And so without going into a summary of all of those, as we mentioned in our intro, there's on-site facilities. We made some slight modifications to those rules and regulations, but mainly we focused on the commercial grade installations.
Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Now, public comments.
My name is Tony Demo. I live at 5182 Pernella Drive. It's spelled D-E-M-O, pretty simple. So first off, where is, I guess, this proposal for review? Because I couldn't find it.
This is an ordinance.
The ordinance, I guess. I looked up the other ordinance, I have a list of the ordinance, but I don't know what the changes are.
It's new.
It hasn't been changed yet.
Okay, yeah, but how do I see what the proposed changes are before?
There was no before.
So there is no red line version other than taking the original ordinance and then comparing it to the new ordinance. There is no red line version.
Okay, so the current ordinance that's out there, okay, it doesn't show any of the changes in it?
Correct, because it's going to be a repeal and replace. So whatever was existing is no longer going to be relevant, and the new language that was shown in the public hearing will be the new policy.
It was part of the public posting.
Okay, but is it on the website someplace that?
No.
Okay.
I believe you had to request a copy. Was that correct?
There was a copy available since we had this at the front desk. All you had to do was ask for it.
Okay, but could they be placed on the, in the website, so that way you could?
It's not a requirement. It's available for public comment at the township office.
Okay, because I guess if you don't know that, where to get it at and stuff like that, then.
It was in the public, I don't want to get into a back and forth, but it was available. It was in the public hearing. The notice was in the public hearing notice that it was available.
Okay. All right, very good. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kevin,
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a copy if he wishes to look at it.
Yeah, it's quite, like I said, we're getting a little off topic and a little outside the guidelines of the public hearing, but it's fairly extensive, and we've worked on it for 14 months, I think it was.
I looked at the old one, that's in the current zone, but I didn't know what the changes actually were.
All right, thank you.
Or where to pick up.
Okay. We only have one public comment. We have no written comments or acknowledgements that I'm aware of. We have nothing to redress. So I will close the public hearing at 8:32, please. Deliberation.
Start. I'm kind of on the same page as our attorney with the host community agreement. And I say that because this is the only time that I'm aware of in our ordinance that we are requiring
basically a bond
owner-operator to cover the cost beforehand for public safety. Bills are sent after a fire, and that's fine. But this is, I guess, to me, the goal was to be responsible for Almont and keep it proper and how we want it. But I think that's a huge overreach on our part. So that's really the only issue I personally have.
I have to agree. The non-participating parcel, I don't know that was so much a sticking point, but the host community agreement, I can't stand behind that. As much as I'd like to, for the reasons stated, the training and all that stuff, I don't know that, I think it's a reach.
I would like it.
Yeah.
But I same with you, I can't get behind it and support it because we don't, that that's nowhere else. Manufacturing doesn't have to host training for the fire department.
For, industrial spills or
Right.
anything like that, right, yeah.
Chemical, the calcium chloride place doesn't have to have, training on how to clean up if they, had some sort of fire or
Right.
it just.
I agree with you guys, because I think that if you did charge that host agreement, it would be almost saying, if you pay me the money, I'll approve your site. That's walking a very bad line, so I would suggest we strike it.
And even if we kept it in, I think it would cause legal issues.
Right.
That we
It's almost
don't,
like-
we don't want to have to pay.
The attorney called it pay to play. That's exactly what it comes across as.
I mentioned that then, but that was just me.
Good with keeping a non-participating parcel and striking the host community agreement.
What letter and number is that non-participating parcel? I want to read that out loud so everybody understands exactly what that says.
D11, page 5,
Kevin.
Page 5.
should be in your highlighted.
CS,
Towards the top.
well, the copy I have isn't highlighted. The CSCES shall not border on more than two sides or surround a non-participating parcel. And our lawyer wants that struck. Correct? I think this is a reasonable request. That you don't.
I don't have the lawyer's letter. I thought I did.
So that they understood the philosophy of it. It's just, that is something the industry is going to be like, well, wait a minute. It's just because we can't do this property or whatever the case is. But if a facility were to come and talk to us and they said, hey, or that's how it's been done in other communities, is that they look at our local ordinance and say, these are the three things that make it so we can't do it locally. So we would utilize 233. And then we have another policy discussion. But really what we're trying to do is articulate what are the most important values to us. And so out of the whole list of attorney concerns, we addressed all but one potential. And so I think this would be of concern, but not of significant concern. That just depends on the merit of their project.
Right, it could be waived at our discretion in the future.
Well, we would have to amend the ordinance to remove that requirement.
We wouldn't be able to do a conditional approval?
No, we can write language to put that in place. So we could add a sentence to that to say that the planning commission may waive this requirement, but until we put that in there.
I don't want to do that.
I would say, I would keep it as written, and you would just, if that is a major sticking point, they can request a variance. Which
That's what
would
I'm
be-
saying, we can get a variance.
They go to town.
Well, and there's really not that many areas. Most of the areas of big acreage have a lot of 2-acre parcels already split off the front. And a lot of times there's going to be two next to each other, and that will waive this
Right.
anyways,
Yeah.
because it would be on 3 sides, but there's going to be 2 parcels splitting it.
Yeah.
Or 3. If you look down any of the roads that they're building,
They're
they
all-
split off the part, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time.
Yeah.
And kind of do it in blocks. There's not very many places, I don't think, where you're going to have 500 acres and there's just one 2-acre
Yeah,
parcel,
one island.
one island that's going to be done. I say we leave it.
I think that, if my memory serves me, this occurred in Chesnee. And because there were a multitude of parcels that were included by the time they all got it together. Some of the property owners were surrounded on 3 sides with a solar farm. And it ended up in the state of Michigan. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what I heard from our DTE rep.
Yeah, I recall
So-
that, yeah.
Yeah, so
As far as commercial solar, what kind of acreage are we talking about?
Let me read the ordinance here.
Most of the commercial grade installations are hundreds of acres as
Yeah.
far as requests that have come in.
Okay,
And so we do not have any application. We have not had any preliminary talks with applicants at this point in time.
so
But
I didn't misread anything, because when I read through this last night, and pardon me for just getting started on all of this, but I was cramming last night to get ready for this, and that was one thing that I didn't see in the reading was, okay, what constitutes a commercial?
so a commercial grade, what makes it different than on-site is the use distinction. So if you are utilizing it to generate income, then that is what makes you a commercial grade utility for commercial grade solar, as opposed to if it's on-site, you're using it for your own purposes. Is that your question?
Well, kind of. I mean, obviously, if I had, say I put up 5 or 6 solar panels in my backyard, but I'm selling power back to the grid, is that commercial?
Also, the use that, let's say it's on your single-family home, the purpose is to supply power for your single-family home. DTE, when they approve those solar panels, they're not going to let you feed the grid very much. And so there is a self-regulation that we're aware of.
You're getting 51%.
Okay.
That makes it,
So with this would be for
Farms.
Chris Berkland Power to take 100 acres and put in 100 acres of solar panels. Okay, I just, because there wasn't anything that had a land size to it. And I just-
there's no distinction over size. It has to do with the actual power generation in the use of the output.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Like, if you had 10 acres and you felt you could be viable commercially,
Then this would apply.
that would apply.
Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't, but
Okay.
it wouldn't make fiscal sense, but.
Understood.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I read through it last night, there really wasn't a boundary, you know, and that was something that kind of.
And there's no boundary for that reason.
Okay, makes great, good sense.
We kind of tried to keep it so the on-site was just matched accessory building. You do what you want on your property, and the commercial was worrying about the community as a whole. Was kind of the direction that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kevin, I do have the attorney's opinion on the non-participating parcel. She just said, the requirement to not border on more than 2 sides of a non-participating parcel will not withstand constitutional scrutiny. So I think, and she recommends deletion, of course. I think we deal with it at that time, but I think it's a good requirement.
Well, and then remind me could that non-conforming parcel opt in or be okay with it? Could they sign off on it or no?
So if you
That's a good
wrote,
question.
so if you wrote in there that the property owner can provide in writing waiver from being surrounded on 3 sides, then yes, you can. But unless we put that in there, the answer is no.
I think I might like to see that.
Did she say what the constitutional basis was, takings or?
No. It will not withstand constitutional scrutiny. The taking would occur if 2 of the property that surround the non-participating could not participate in the solar farm based on that requirement. That would be a taking, I think.
Is that what she was saying? We can't, that the solar operator would not be able to continue?
No.
And that
the requirement that would not allow the border on 2 sides all she says is would not withstand constitutional scrutiny. But I think probably you're getting at it with the people that would be denied because they would be the second side of a non-participating. That would be a challenge. Because you're denying
the operator the ability to build their farm.
Because somebody's already got it on one side of a non-participating parcel. Yeah, that would be a challenge. But
The
I don't think
likelihood
you're
of
gonna
it.
see two next to each other.
Yeah, I guess if you were to say, hey, make a decision today, I'd say leave it in because it's not likely to ever going to come up anyway. But I do want to see it in there, maybe for the warm and fuzzy. And I don't know if that's the right way to characterize it, but.
See what.
It's a policy you want to see, so you might as well put it in writing, because otherwise you're negotiating.
Is there some kind of alternative wording that could be used?
So the wording won't fix the policy. So the policy concern from the attorney's standpoint is saying that because you are wrapping more than two sides, that you can't do that. So there's no other way to word that policy where they would stand legal scrutiny as part of their concern.
Without the waiver, without adding text for a waiver by the island property owner.
But this could all be solved with the variance anyways.
Hard variance, but yes.
I'm gonna make a motion that we recommend the ordinance striking E, the host community agreement, based on the change as necessary to improve administration of the ordinance or to better serve the community.
Support. We have a motion by Nick to strike item B.
E. Well, sorry, it's E in the ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this.
Okay. I forget what the whole thing is.
Yeah, okay. Item E in the ordinance.
What do you know?
Ordinance number 39.24.
So that was, just section E.
So that would be section 2.31 E.
Section
That one.
2.31E.
That one,
Let's
that's
get
what you
this.
meant, Nick?
Yeah, let's get this right. With the change being necessary due to item D, the change is necessary to prove administration of the ordinance or better serve the community, and it was seconded by Dennis.
Okay, hold on.
If I would recommend to modify your motion just slightly to reference section 13.7C1, which is D, the standard for approval. So you're recommending it because it meets standard 13.7C1 D.
Really C and D, but D's clear.
Yeah, you can list more than one.
D's clear, just leave.
Do you want to write it out?
You want to do it again?
Because it's a public hearing, because it's a ordinance change, I want to.
You could have the recording secretary read it back.
Did you get all that, Michelle? It was quite.
This is my big to keep one's letter.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Let's let Nick write it out because I want to get this right the first time.
Because this is, we're recommending it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want assistance.
All right. Motion is to recommend to the Township Board approval of ordinance 39.24, striking section 1E. No,
Section 231E.
231.
2, striking section 231E, based on the adoption standards laid out in section 13.7.C.1. D, the changes necessary to improve administration of the ordinance or to better serve the community.
Support. Well done, Nick.
Okay. We have a motion to strike the line per Nick's explanation, supported by Dennis. Any further discussion? Nothing? I will take a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Nick,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Leo,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Tracy, Chris, Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries. We will recommend to the board to adopt the ordinance. Read this out loud. 39.24, amending Articles 2, 8, 13, and 14. Thank you all for your hard work. That was a long time coming with a lot of effort by a large group of people or a large cross-section of personalities, and it seemed to work out.
What are you going to do with all your free time, Dennis?
I don't have any.
Switch right to the zoning ordinance.
Oh, wait a minute.
New business. Now, this wasn't on here on the agenda, and I thought of it after the fact, and I apologize, Ida and Tracy, but we do need a secretary. We've
Oh,
only.
I thought that would come under your general comments, but if you want to move it up to new business?
Well, it's really old business, but we don't have any new business, so.
Old business?
Let's just call it business in general. I want to, because Tracy graciously was voluntold to take a secretary position at the last meeting.
Railroad.
We still have that opening to address. So in the case of, I'm going to read the bylaws so that everyone gets a refresher. The chair shall call a special election to fill a vacancy for secretary, which shall be held within 30 days of the occurrence of said vacancy. However, a temporary secretary shall be appointed by the chair. And now we'll read the duties of the secretary. We do have a recording secretary, so the PC secretary shall perform the usual functions of the office and such other duties as chair or commission may direct. The secretary is to proofread and coordinate with the recording secretary to present accurate planning commission minutes to the planning commission for approval. The secretary is to also prepare the annual report for the commission approval. In the event of the absence or inability of the chair or vice chair to discharge the duties of the chair, such duty shall devolve upon the secretary during such absence of disability of the chair or vice chair. The secretary shall be responsible for maintaining and updating the planning commission bylaws, incorporating all changes approved by a vote of the planning commission members in accordance with Article 14 Amendment of Rules of Procedures. Knowing all that, has anybody given any thought to fulfill that role? Dennis did it for a while. He did a great job. Bonnie, we lost Bonnie, so, and she was quite adept at handling the role.
We just did the bylaws.
Yeah, so the bylaw part is done. So right now, the role would just be a proofreading and the yearly review when it gets to that point, 7 months from now. Any thoughts? Anybody want to just jump up?
I don't want to say yes, but I mean, I can proofread.
And he's not going to like me for it, but I was going to nominate Chris because it's a perfect job for him.
Hey, that's good.
But
I don't know that I'm ready for it yet. I mean, I catching up to fulfill the role, so.
He sticks it out and doesn't want to do it after the year's up.
I mean,
I know,
are we going
you
till
know.
the end of the year? Like,
You have to have elections every January.
Every January, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way, give me a chance to catch up and get on board with it, and then,
Only because you and I have had long history
yeah.
of working together, and I thought you
Yeah,
would
that's-
fulfill the role.
that's fine.
But if you want to, if you wouldn't mind,
pitch in for right now. And,
yeah, okay.
I might need assistance on the annual report, though.
Bonnie has a tremendous template. She did a stellar job, and her outline was very, very well received. Okay, so we'll continue on with Tracy in a temporary.
Do we have nomination and vote
Well, I appointed her last meeting, so.
for temporary? You have to hold an election.
Chair should approve, chair,
Yeah. Appoint one temporarily.
Well, we have a current nomination of Tracy on the,
Well, just because I volunteered this, I mean, if you want to change it, that's, you know.
well, and Nick is right, we do have to,
I think you have to have it for the minutes.
yeah, we have to have it for the minutes.
I'll nominate Tracy for secretary.
Tracy was nominated as secretary to fulfill the remainder of the year as secretary. Do I have a supported by Dennis?
Accept.
Do you accept? Thank you, Tracy. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you, Tracy, for helping out.
I'll reach out to Bonnie.
What's that?
I said, I'll reach out to Bonnie
Yeah.
about that. annual.
She's got nothing going on.
Yeah, she's only got a couple elections, no big deal.
We're all a little responsible for the minutes anyway at the end of the day.
Yeah, the recording does a tremendous help.
Yes, she
I mean,
does.
if you could,
Very good.
no, I mean, the video
Yes,
recording is a
the
tremendous help to return back and, you know, if you read something, boy, I don't remember if it actually happened that way, and it's good. to
And I was
review.
writing a lot down tonight, too, so.
That covers all of our business that's on the table. Next would be a report from Caitlin. Do you have anything to add outside of what we've already discussed, Caitlin?
So as you're aware, the Township Board did authorize the completion of our zoning ordinance update process. And so right now in the process, we're looking on forming that subcommittee. So Dennis is really leading the charge there on what that committee is and how many we're talking about. We've talked briefly about parameters. From a project timeline standpoint, I would say I would like the subcommittee meet at least by August. That gives us 3 months of working to make sure we're, however we choose to pace the project, that subcommittee would have 3 months before we get to the holiday season. So then we could take a break so I can package it accordingly. So then when we take a 2-month break, it's not over significant things that really bleed into one another. And so in the best case scenario, I would say when this draft, so the subcommittee is going to look at the audit that's already been preliminarily provided to you. And then I would expect probably in early 2027 is when the draft. So based on the feedback from the subcommittee, I'm going to provide you with clean versions with sections highlighted that have major policy changes, or they have things where the subcommittee couldn't really pick an option and we wanted to bring it to the Planning Commission. Of course, if there's any question you have on the draft language, we'll stop and talk about it. But instead of going through every single line item, that is the intention. So that would be the drafts that would then be reviewed. You would get a copy of that audit and what the decisions were. And so if you want to change the policy decision originally given and we do a different one, that's totally fine. That's part of the drafting process. But that would be my tentative timeline for the project. And then as we pace the project, when the drafts come to the Planning Commission, I would say in the interest of everyone's time and efficiency, if we expect it to be a long meeting based on our normal new business, we would then push off any new content on the zoning ordinance. It's important that we handle our business. So if a new application comes in, a site plan or rezoning, we do that first. And if we know that there's not going to be enough time and energy, no good decisions are made after 9 o'clock. And so we don't want to be on fumes going through one of the most important documents, which is our zoning ordinance.
That timeline too, I think the upside is by the time it's ready for draft, we'll be into the slower season anyways for
building season will have ebbed.
Yeah, for site plans and that.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, we should be able to go through quite a few articles in one meeting. Because the initial technical component has already been addressed by the subcommittee, and we're just talking about this. So similar flow to how we did the other drafts where you can outline letter of these are the policy concerns. So we're not looking over everything.
Sounds great.
You need to get Chris a copy of the audit. I don't know what you've been given so far, Chris, but
I don't know that it makes sense at this point in the juncture.
just so he has a,
We got meeting minutes from last meeting. I got, what was the other, kind of what was the lead up for tonight.
Yeah, he
So
got,
I had a chance to do some reading and get prepared for tonight.
I don't think so.
he has an electronic copy of the old ordinance, of course, the new bylaws, and that's about it.
So I would say, as the project manager gatekeeping it, we are totally transparent. If you want a copy of where we are in the drafting process or things of that nature, happy to provide it. However, the audit's been more or less completed. We want the subcommittee to now focus on it. And then when it comes to the Planning Commission, you're going to get a copy of that audit with the decisions in it. And so if there's changes and stuff, just to make sure people aren't looking at old drafts or this draft, I recommend if you're not on the subcommittee, you can put that off to the side because I'm going to re-provide it with the better version with those decisions recorded. Because you might say, we're cool with it as is. So then it becomes irrelevant. And so that's something that I think it makes sense. Everyone only has so much time and ability.
Thank you. Our engineer doesn't have anything new to add to the ongoing projects. There was something came through about Superior, but I think that was handled at the,
Oh, that's MDEQ.
yeah, that was handled at the MDOT level. Yeah. Okay.
MDEQ,
Oh, MDEQ. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
environmental quality.
Yeah. Okay. Ida.
Well, I have no new applications in, have not received anything from the gentleman who wants to put the Taco Bell up. It is a little early because he's got a lot that he needs to do.
Sure.
I did talk to Corey about Pinecrest. When I last talked to him, like last week, he still hadn't received anything, the revisions that he was looking for, so that's still waiting. We did have an opportunity. We did have a client or a prospective property, or this gentleman has a business, and he was looking at property along Van Dyke across from where Blake's is. And unfortunately, the sale fell through. The guy already had a buyer or something, but it may have to take another look at that corridor because that's where people are looking at. And I do have another gentleman who sent me an email, and I think he's the buyer, and I think he wants to do something, and he's going to be requesting commercial.
It's commercial now, correct? No, it's not.
No, ag residential, where he's looking at it's 67 acres.
So it's not the Blake property directly?
No, it's across the street from where Blake's.
Is that the old Bristol
Mhm.
property?
It's where the spray painted sign is. It's for sale.
Oh, there's two parcels. There's a 30 acre and a 37 acre, and I guess he wants to buy both. Well, the one gentleman that we met with wanted to buy both. And this other gentleman, I don't know what he's looking at. All I know is he was looking at trying to do something maybe commercial there.
I recall the email, family-run business making some widget or something that, I don't recall what it was, but it was some widget that they developed. And
Yeah, for bowling balls.
Bowling balls, the thumb thing, yeah, that was it, yeah.
That's pretty neat. But,
Okay.
they were gonna do multiple uses. They were gonna put their business on Van Dyke, and then they were gonna have houses in the back. And then there would be over 30 acres left that they would hold for farming. Unfortunately, that didn't work out.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Well, he offered him more money, but the guy said he had already signed this 1-year deal.
Well, you can't argue with that, if there's already a pending offer.
Oh, no. He was a day late and $1 short. So, what do we have for next month?
Wednesday off.
It might be.
The subcommittee, I mean,
Yeah, I believe the notices would have already had to be, they would be at the end of this week. They would need to, the applications would be due. So any special land use site plan, those deadlines have already passed. So yes, there is no business to conduct in July, because even if the subcommittee were to be formulated, not looking for the blessing of the PC for those members, that would be something separate. So I don't think we need to meet.
We'll have to see what pops up, but I tentatively, it's probably going to be a slow month.
I don't have anything new and nothing's come in, so.
Could have done the ordinance.
General comments, we did get mailboxes put together. Ida,
My husband put those up for you guys.
Ida had them assembled by Mr. Ida, and
I don't think he'd appreciate that.
I personally don't know where they are yet, and
They're in the storage room across my office.
that's what I thought they were in, but I have not personally laid eyes on them. We just need to get codes, correct, to get in?
I gave, somebody called me on the codes. Oh, Tom.
I have not yet, but I will.
We can give you the codes tonight.
I don't really need it. I can get up here during the day, so I'm not that.
I know the office staff would prefer, if you can make it during office hours, they would prefer it. But if you can't, then I guess the backup would be the combination. Leo already has a combo, so he can get in. He gets in at the village side.
Like I said, I like to come up and see everybody's smiling face, so it gives me a diversion from the workday. So, that's just my excuse. I can't speak for anybody else, so. That's the last I have of general comments. If anybody has anything else, I would just like to say thank you, Mr. Berkland. I look forward to working with you. I think.
Thanks for having me. Like you said, hope I can rise to the occasion for you.
I think that's the least of our worries with you. We have a motion to adjourn and supported by Tracy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We close the meeting at 9:08.
You do a great job on public hearings. I want to commend you for that. Keep it in order. I think they know that right up front.
Thank you. I think